Hello and welcome to this brainstorming session of my video podcast, Lost in Translation, Transition, Out to Nowhere Land, I guess. Hosted 0 places. Probably broadcasting to zero audiences. And I mean that dually because I might not even post this, so I'm sort of being silly on my own, thinking that this one might not be finished and might just be a bit of my own blabbing to clear some ground around systems, alchemy work, transmutation, energy exchanges, and how we can really cultivate better alchemy within the self when we're dealing with kind of uncomfortable, hard things. So yeah, today is April 10th, 2025. I don't have an episode number. I haven't been even numbering them recently, so this is different altogether and sort of off on the scenic route. What I would really like to bring up first is what I had a bit of a epiphany, and this goes along with these sort of comparative unlockings that I'm receiving or have received in the past. I'm sure everyone gets these kind of insights. I'm not saying claim to this as my own, but this is my own insight I'm sharing, of course. About how we break up hard feelings, negativity, negative energies, anger, hate, shame, guilt, irritation, annoyances, those kind of, prickly, more lower density and lower frequencies that, of course, we encounter, and they're in our day-to-day lives always, and I encounter them a lot. In my life recently, I have been, I visited family recently, and we have, where I'm working, it's sort of springtime, and we have a campground, which is opening, and there's lots of different people who come through, and for different reasons and different types of people, and so you get sort of a lot of catalytic types. There's different confrontations and different displays of all the different variety of human beings out there. And of course, the internet here and having a platform and having exchanges in that kind of dynamic is ever expanding as well. And there's always a never-ending influx of different varieties of chances for those types of catalytic encounters here as well, or there as well, if I don't share this one. Out there in Interland. But anyways, having a lot of grading, it's sort of on, you know what I mean? It's like friction, the back and forth of my own carving of my own statue is what's happening, sculpting away. At the end of the day, all of the encounters or exchanges and circumstances and interactions with others in myself, they don't really, even to me in my own life and world, my timeline, my reality, they don't come in there. They don't actually impact it or influence it in any way. You're not there when you go to bed at night. And they don't really matter to my inner world or to my inner experience of reality. They can't impact it or scratch it. It's it remains solid, whole, and intact in my eyes, in my experience, in the way that I tangibly go through my moments and days. I experience my conscious life. I have such a strong, grounded unconditional love for the experience of life and for being alive and just for what it is and my chance at it, and knowing that it's a great gift that I have and it is short and fleeting and the end will come at some point, that I can't help but not enjoy every single day. And even the things that are, the rainy clouds, I'll always see a silver lining and try to, as much as I can, even if I am grumpy, I try to admit that I'm grumpy in that way and figure out a way, to find some ease within that in myself, which comes through acceptance. There's always a coming back to, for myself, a habitual seeking of a beneficial neutrality, a positivity, something that feels good, not bad. And I used to live in a neutrality of negativity and pain and uncomfort. And so I really do know the difference and I feel it. And I don't ever want to go back to that. And when things like that come in, I look at it as a great chance of this alchemy work to burn it away, to use them to create momentum and to create a higher learning experience, a greater nuance of information or wisdom or knowledge, that I'm creating more definition in the experience of my days and that it matters. And so I can't feel, I can't hate on it too much. I can't really sit there for too long in those bad feelings because, I remember, I had reasons, I got these good things out of it. And then I just go back on my way and find my own good things that I like to do and feel my service and do hobbies and habits that feel great to me. And it's in the past. And rolling through these kind of things in good ways is like learning to shift gears when you're driving in a standard automobile, without the jerkiness, I feel like. And it's so funny because jerks teach us the jerkiness of it. It reflects back the nastiness, the uncomfortability, the, yeah. So funny how the world works and how everything's sort of a mirrored lesson when you choose to look at it like that, and how you can just you can laugh at it in that way and keep it moving. And it really diffuses all the negativity and lets it go. And it's sort of chaff to the wind. It's ashes to be burned. Ashes have great uses and chaff goes somewhere, but it's not at the main focus of what's happened. It's got its own path, so be gone and go to it. Good for you, but there's a different neutrality to be sought back for, right? And there's, a warmth to be gained by the fire, so to speak. And there's plenty to be done with that wheat, whether you're, so there's work to be done with the newness that you have and that you have cultivated and that you're working to cultivate. So just let those other things go because, they probably have a purpose somewhere else in the whole, because the whole has a lot going on. It's none of my business, half of it. More than half of it. One tiny little percentage actually is mine business. And there's plenty in my own. My own is an infinite diving into in itself, because what am I more than just this one figure, this coordinate point of exploration that I get to add some zeros into and create definement within my boundaries. It's these infringing things on other people's boundaries sometimes, that we have to be mindful for. I work to be mindful into not doing that, because this negative overlaid matrix habitual nature nurture thing of the prison planet that we're in, to be the opposite. But anyways, let's what I really wanted to bring up is, yes, all of this and the fact that there's these dualistic happenings. There's the negative overlay that fuels, feeds, and looks like fertile ground for all negative building and all systems that align in a debt-based, pay-to-play, winner-takes-all kind of set playscape, right? But there's also a whole other positive playscape over there. It's abundant and it's based on surplus and sovereign bestowment of natural worth. It's and it's always available as well. And it has its own great potentialities and its functionalities and alignments and laws of service. And, there's gray gradient, but there is great distinctions between the two as well. And when we, this is why I love systems, and I can't wait for my systems workbook that I'm working through to really come to full fruition, and I feel comfortable as to share it and make and do the video walkthroughs and do teaching, sharing each page sort of, so to really dive into this deeper, because it's such phenomenal knowledge and it's so useful, and you can use the understandings. It's like a filter that you place upon your life and experiences, catalysts, decisions, circumstances, and this kind of stuff, and you learn how to discern better, get better work out of your reality, see it more clearly, and experience it more clearly. And guess what? You get better results. I get such better results. And this alchemy transmutation work it really helps to learn to do it in the moment. It's unbelievably difficult. Just like it's unbelievably difficult to even start mindfulness in the moment, just to live your life mindfully in conscious awareness through your day. Maybe 2.5, almost 3 years, was 3 summers ago maybe, I think coming up on summer is it will be 3 years, I think, that I have done this sort of trying to 24/7 be aware of my conscious systems and live life awake with this conscious awareness of the triad of systems, mind, body, and spirit, and how all other reflections of reality in the playscape, honor that and work within it, and transmute information through those layers, and living my life from that fundamental place has created, in a positive overview, is from a place of unconditional love and enjoyment, of curiosity and happiness. It's my whole life has shifted in such ways that to me speaks plainly to itself. The proof's in the pudding. I don't really have to justify or make explanations or try to prove anything to anyone else. I don't even care, in fact, who or what would believe it, or if they don't, or if they look upon it and they see whatever they see and it doesn't match mine. I love it. It makes me giggle. It's great. It's like an inside joke with the creator and myself and my own creator consciousness and the power of choice and discernment and this gift of life, what it is. People forget that it's a recording of your happenings, or people don't want to remember that because they feel they're infested with shadow and they don't even remember half of their happenings. Perhaps their shadow's even running the show, or they're afraid of it, or they're scared to look at certain things, so they're not quite sure how they will reflect in the light. I'm not bothering with that, because I try to shine light and find things as quickly and as honestly as I can to bring them to a service that is, yes, it's self-serving to the shadow almost, but understanding that my shadow, those shadows, any others, are a great reflection of Source choosing to be shadowed. And so, yes, I'm honoring you, and I want to serve you as Source of great infinite intelligence. Leave that variation of open trust and goodness to it, but also at the same time, you have to hold your boundaries, because it's a testing ground. It's to see a what if choice. This is what this is about, the power of choice and discernment here. We are beings of free will with conscious awareness bestowed as a great gift to see what we do, what if. And it's a co-creative happenings of exploration. And if the definition is not needed, if boundaries are set, that's perfectly fine. There's no more explanation or exploration needed in that direction. Creator consciousness has all full right dominion to say that as it sees fit. And that becomes the test back for the bounce back at the shadow, to say, okay, shadow, there's your test. What are you doing with that? That's that version, They have their own test within it. It's, but sometimes it can be seen, like shadow is testing us, or shadow has the upper hand. But at the end of the day, in the whole, we have to remember, of course, that it's a small fraction, and that the light in itself is always cleansing and clearing of a shadow. You know, shadow cannot withstand it. Because it's nothing. It isn't actually. It's not a noun. It's not anything of true manifestation. It's a repercussion and a demented distortion of truth. And so, you know, it's not that it's so difficult to explain in words. And in fact, I didn't even come here to explain that. And I'm getting so off topic. Which is fine because, hey, I might not even share this, right? What I really came on to sort of talk about and kick around ground about is to introduce, like I said, this sort of dual way of looking at things, this opposing way to use tools, the way systems operate in the world, so that we can work to align better with the positive functions than the negatives. And I sort of do this comparative thing with light versus dark, or truth versus lies, or negative systems versus positive systems on a lot of different infographics and videos I've done over time. And in the systems series I did on my old YouTube channel, it's like maybe 40 videos, I forget. But it goes through a brief walkthrough of, you know, when I first was introduced to the information, I did a bunch of videos like straight out because it was such a great, you know, learning for me, a download or whatever that I was working through. And this is a bit of a refinement, and now I've made a workbook off of it, and we'll make an even clearer refinement and better edits to this next version of videos that I'll put out with the workbook, and that's probably the end of summer. Hopefully I'll be ready to do that. But anyways, this one that I wanted to bring up and talk about really quick is sort of like a working tool and exercise, a comparative view of this versus that, kind of from negative versus positive. And our shadows rule and run and make up, and by extension, but are harnessed sort of by the overall negative entity, which I will reference as archons. I appreciate that term and the sort of some of the knowledge behind that. So I'm going to say the archonic overlay that runs whatever you want to call this matrix, this kind of thing that's instilled and forced upon us in the prison planet mainstream model that's like fed to us, right? That is run and harnessed and appeals to every shadow within us. And it does. And we have aspects and reflections of that within us that are displayed in grander view out in the mainstream external version, in the collective reflective, as I like to call it. They harness that area with lighting, like a silly puppet show, but of course it pulls on the heartstrings, so to speak, on our own shadows, and it reflects back and triggers our own things uniquely and individually. We're just as much a part of it as we are a part of the lights. The light shows seeking the truth, finding what feels good, and being part of the organic model, which is also there. It's underneath it. The overlays laid things on top of it, chaos, static on mind, body, and spirit levels, because they understand the levels metaphysically much better. They hide the knowledge from the lower consciousness. And of course, they've crushed and sort of choked out spirit level in many different ways, and overinflate the mind aspects, and they've got us all plugged into the internet and all these kind of ways as well now. So they've got their own infringements that they invert these tools, like, and create their own versions to harness around energy, of course, right? Now, one of these tactics, one of the tools, I'm thinking my old BitChute series, I haven't done the tricks and traps in a long time. But one of them here is the laughter. And a while ago I had seen something, and I haven't seen many people talk about this. I mean, I've seen it here or there. Yogis talk about it a lot, actually. And it might have been an autobiography of a yogi that I had first been seen something other than a Wiccan reference, because I forget where it is in this reference, in these teachings. But that's the initial reference point that I had, was a bit of a witchcraft version of the laugh of the child. They have a Disney movie, the Monsters Inc. movie, and that depicts this whole thing, right? And that's the scream versus the laugh, and in the harnessing of energy, and they say, oh, adrenochrome and all these kinds of things, and oh, I probably shouldn't even said that. My video's probably whatever, if I won't even put this up. But anyways, they made that whole thing and ran with it. And yeah, that aspect is very true of it. The gradient is true. The comparisons are true of screams and laughter there. And the healing of laughter available, and the great moral in that story that they do display. And then people just want to jump into the screams and get into the gore and just go on really nasty, negative, and grotesque explorations into ultimate negativity, just as they want. You know, ding, 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 all their bells down their little aisle. You know, rushing to see their films down there and find out behind the scenes on all of it. And we're just going deeper and deeper into the nonsense and the overlay. And the archons love that. You know, but instead, if we look outwards and or we work as much as we can to sort of see the full spectrum of it, that is really doing the work, and that is more conducive to the truth, and so it's less conducive to what the archons want. Because when we look at things truthfully and we speak from an honest place and space, and that truth resonates with ultimate goodness, with benevolence, right, of an altruistic neutrality that feels good, positive growth, right, then none of that is conducive to any of their happenings, any of their tricks or traps. There's a rebuttal immediately that push you away from any of their close receptors, because they cannot have that type of activity near the receptors of truth, because it will ding down into their own, and they're spending a lot of energy to hold an inverted negative alignment in the first place. They can't be too close to truth resonance, hence to be called to their own. And anyways, off topic again. Well, not really, because it's all on topic and it's all about the functionality. But so this is the thing with the laugh and with being near truth, and a true laugh of actual carefree happiness, of goodness and release and relief. These expressions are of a higher frequency, and they're of such a tone and a quickness and the vibratory happenings of it, right? Much like when you sing on beautiful key and break glass. I think there's a sort of energetic ripple effects with laughter. And it depends, of course, on where the laughter comes from. But I do believe that clear, good, intentioned, honest laughter is momentum, monumental momentum. It exponentially breaks chains of negativity, and it's a great breath of wind to sort of the chaff, or a great flame on the fire. It sort of does the work for our mind, body, spirit vessel. The entire complex releases out that sort of shake that we see in the whole animal world, that they do to sort of release the stress of fight or flight, or some kind of reaction or fight, whatever they've been in. They get in an encounter, right, or they're startled or something. They all have an instinctual way that they let go of the tension in the muscular body, in the energetic body, in the spiritual body, and they get out of that mental heightened awareness and come back into their state of neutrality, peaceful existence of just being and enjoying being alive, right? And I do believe that laughs can really help with that, and is one of those actions that we can tangibly look to ensure and create those, or help to assist with, those moments that we need those transmutations. in hard times. I have found it so beneficial, and also have just I stumbled upon it, and it comes out of nowhere to assist me is really what has happened, and what happens, so I'm just sort of speaking my observations about this tactic and tool of the good side, of the bright side, right? Of moving forward and being free and staying free, because what is the bright side positive? But it's freely offered service. It's service to the whole. It's a co-creative existence that you say yes to at every moment, and that you honor that you're a portion of the whole, and you have influence and impact as the whole has influence and impact on you as well. And there's this companionship and communion space, of solid respect that gets created, as well as held out there. It's sort of like an open imagination, open variables setting that is left there, and it's just not allowed. It's not conducive to negativity at all. They don't grasp it or want to work within it. They want to close out spaces as much as possible because they're misused. They need to be filled, of course. There's so many different excuses as to why they want to, they don't want to have fluidity and change. But again, all of them root back to the same root cause, that you don't want to align with the one truth. But anyways, they have their own version of the laugh, of course, because half of their time is spent on ensuring that, or a little more than half of their time probably, is spent on ensuring that they have more energy around them coming to them, right? That they have sort of masses of amounts of energy in all different forms, to sustain their systems coming in. And so what they tend to do, is take the sort of true organic tool and make it self-serving, switch it up in some kind of way that benefits them or their system only, or solely, or first, just better than everybody else a little bit. And so the tool of the laugh, they know that it's a crucial tool. It works. It has potential. And so, of course, we have all of these sort of demeaning laugh, to laugh at someone. We have cynical laughing, to laugh about things. We have all of these different tactics of laughing at someone in order to harness that power. And I mean, honestly, if you speak plainly, that's what it is, of course, but it has to be under a taint and a frequency that's conducive to negativity. It cannot be high frequency. It can't be out of happiness. It can't be pure. It has to be tainted in negativity. And it's unfortunate to see how long people will continue to stick in that type of framework, and create and build architecture and only allow themselves in that negative frameworking and in that space on the negative side of the playing field. I myself, I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking sort of as somebody who's stepped out of that realm, and like I said at the start of this, seeing how uncomfortable it is, how hurtful and harmful. It does not feel good at all. Especially if you compare it to just regular old laughter, a good chuckle or a belly laugh or a tickle or anything like that. But people won't even allow themselves, and I've been there, you know. And so when I see others out there who are still trapped in that, um, it's a reflection and a reminder, of course, of my own things. And I take it inwards to see, what's still uncomfortable in there for my own self, but also to bring it back to neutrality, to find service in those uncomfortabilities so that I can heal them and help them, bring them to the light. I don't want to sit in a pity party and ruminate and cry boo-hoo over my scraped knee and talk about a scar for 20 years and how, and bring it down into that moment and relive it every single time and try to siphon off some kind of, I don't know, power out of it, some kind of ego boost. It's not even, it doesn't, when I look at it and I try to sort of make excuses to myself or build it up to myself these days and just say what it is for it, it still doesn't hold any weight to just owning the truth and moving on, doing something new and good in the moment that has nothing to do with that silly scar, or laugh off the cut because it's fine, I'm gonna heal. It's not a big deal. What is that? Why is that pivot point always back to all of the negativity? It's unfortunate, But again, I just try to laugh it off, bring myself back and say, their struggles and standpoints are not my own. And I can, again, harness it as momentum in my own life to create my own good work and enjoy my life better, Sometimes, especially in the years that we've been here, my husband and I working and living at this motel and campground, we see so many faces and people in different scenarios and things that I have said to him so many times, just when you think you've got problems, just when I think I've got real problems, or I've got something I can't deal with, or something's truly uncomfortable, or really in a bad situation for me personally, I see or am met with, or I remember even cases of people here. I just couldn't even believe the amount of problems, the heightened just unawareness, the toxicity, disease, sometimes serious unfortunate happenings as well, and just absolute failures of failure to thrive, failure to grow, real sad wilting, and also violence and all types of other things, that you just be like, thank God those aren't my problems. Thank God that's not my life story. Thank God that one's not me, Just like every time I hear sirens coming, I say, thank God they're not called for me, and I give a happy smile and gratitude, And it's not like I'm trying to take something away from whoever they're going to, or like stealing happiness from the people wherever the bad thing's happening, No, I'm holding my own resonance of happiness and gratitude, which overall helps the ratio frequency to help healing and help the world and add to the love that is here. That's the other thing, like, where's the love? There isn't any. Everyone is so hateful. And I've even noticed it, and this is another thing probably why I'm prompted to talk about it and speak more about it, because the more that, sometimes it's such a reflective happenings to life. You see it out there, you take it on yourself. I feel it in myself, I see it outside. I've been working even more actively in the last, since about Christmas, a little before Christmas, to really be more soft and kind and pleasant, because I tend to be stern, strict, and a little detached. I do come from an overall good place, and I always have the best in mind, but in my, day-to-day normalcy, I tend to be a little bit more cut to the chase, kind of, and a quiet person in general as well. Not much for, like, beat around the bush conversations, weather talk, gossips, frivolous, superficial conversation that doesn't mean anything. I like deep conversations, and I'll always feel, like, if I feel like I can talk to somebody, I would talk forever about certain things, because I like to speak about things that have worse than me. Who doesn't, right? Everybody likes to talk about what they like. Try talking about what you don't like, right? I love that part of Jesus. Really, that is such an amazing teaching of Christianity and of Jesus alone. It's like, it's so easy to love who likes you. It's so easy to like who likes you back. Try liking who don't like you. Try to like those who make you mad. Try to love those who hate you. And that's the test. That's where we're at. That's the learning curve. That's where I'm grading away at my statue. That's my level of artesian work here, my alchemy. And in fact, it has nothing to do with the presentation of others. It's all my own. My focus is on my structure, on my form, on creating and really being completely present and enjoying what I'm doing, whatever creation I'm a part of. And be that my own soul content creation, be that the creation of my life's path and journey, be that the creation of my day and my moments that I'm in, different scenarios and conversations, my school day, my children, their lives, there's my husband and our own. There's so many different segments and building of co-creative reality space that we get involved in. And when you start to become aware of it and live life from the aware space and know that there's always these dual systems of choice running, I can choose to run negatively, I can choose to run positively. How am I choosing to do this? Am I allowing myself the comfort and freedom to laugh out of love, to give freely, to have things that feel good and feel good about myself? Or am I stuck in a rut? Am I pulling everything down into misery all the time? Do I always have a cutthroat comment or a rude comeback? Am I trying to bring it into a neutrality that's more comfortable for me, be it negative, be it somewhat unhappy? Because, the world's miserable. Oh, it's so bad out there. I'm matching it. Well, that's good on you to meet the rules where you see them at and to be a part of systems and cogs of wheels that you want to be. But I don't want to be a part of that. And don't let, people tend to be like, oh, now you're going to bail on that. And it makes them feel like, oh, but whatever you feel like, that's on you. I'm going to feel how I want to do and make my life outside the clock and the system. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't need comments saying, oh, you should come back, or oh, this is happening in the clock, or oh, we're over here bearing this weight, or oh, why aren't you doing this, or oh, do you care about this? You don't know this. You got rose-colored glasses on, you put your head in the sand, whatever these things are, like that they try to trick and grab at you to make you come back and downwards and to bear the load with them. And it's just like, I've got my own load that I bear individually. I would never ask another to bear my load. I'm on my own path and walk. You could walk beside me, and that alone should help you. In companionship, we help bear the load. Because it's not slaves and masters here. We're all masters, walking the beaten path, beating our path as we walk it. No one else can do that for you. And you're never a real master or true to yourself or true to life and truth until you know that and own that and walk it. And then you'll get it. And you won't try to drag anybody down because it's hard enough to stay upright. And it feels good to stay upright. Why would we ever want to bow down or back down or fall apart? Just keep going. We're already moving. It feels great to stay moving. Let's do the good work. Laugh about it and let it go. Burn it to the wind. Breathe it away. Feel the exercise. Get moving. Refocus on the things they're meant to be, right? Laugh it off. And it doesn't mean that you can't once in a while have a little sarcastic chuckle or a mean thing or whatever. We all go through these things. Sometimes, especially I've noticed, it's not my homeostasis to be like that. I got myself out of that habit long ago, being one of those sort of, they have, people, they're kind of jokey. They have these sarcastic cuts, and sort of make fun of each other. And, men are more like this anyways, so I'm a woman, and it's more like women don't like this in general, but men can be more in that kind of way. But there's plenty of women who give it back too, and who like to do that, or who live their life in that kind of way, rude or sassy or fresh, whatever you want to call that kind of thing. That's not for me. I tried to be like that in my teen years, and it was really detrimental. It was really unhealthy. I don't like to feel like that whatsoever, and I don't want to put hate on others. I don't want to hate. I like to feel good, so I like to empower myself and others. That's my state that of happiness, that I choose to be and seek. And so over, my 20s and into my 30s now and into the ends of them, I've had different friends. I meet different people. I've seen different couples back and forth who they do that kind of thing with each other. I don't. And I don't tolerate that kind of stuff either. My husband doesn't either. My husband is such a strong-minded person in my way too. He knows how to joke back and forth, and of course we can all take jokes, and it's not about not being able to take a joke or something like that, but a lot of truth is said in jest, and let's frame it in the correct way to know that there's ways to take digs at people, and when you choose to do that, you're going to be confronted about it. People think they get this alignment around their jokester attitude, the negative alignment, when there's a deep shadow infestations, they can't see truly. And so when they take these jabs, they don't think the repercussions should be able to come back at them at all. They think that it's free service, like freely offered, and that there's no strings attached, and that there's no retribution, and if that retribution to come back can be but this is where it's malaligned and where the negativity comes in, because I could take it back if it's a laugh. If you take my joke in the way that I want you to take it, it's a-okay, and it can be, I can accept that energy back in my negative system. We can quote unquote laugh about it together, but still it's not a real laugh. It's not an honest, positively aligned laugh that feels good. It's a cutthroat laugh that you two are negatively compromising each other's goodwill to laugh at, put it aside, and to agree to step down, and to just not be overly offended either one. But it's a negativity. You're agreeing not to be offended about it. But it's, in itself, it's hurtful. There's not a positiveness gain. There's no happy gain on it. Why are we doing anything like that? This is a huge reason why I've sort of over the years become more of a hermit, and have been a recluse and not so connected to those who I used to be connected to, because a lot of people in my direct life, my immediate family, run on those types of systems, and they're all those back and forth people, strong opinions in a highly directed notion and angle, to where you have to either meet it with exactly the right comebacks, or it's not allowed, and it's just going to be a huge inflamed argument, and then it'll be turned around and blamed on you because you've responded incorrectly. But it's like free service, man. We should be able to respond however we want, and you should be able to take it however, But no, it doesn't work like that at all. And so for the most part, I just learned my lesson the hard way, and so I've become more of someone who just minds my own business. And I offer my opinions. I offer videos and podcasts and blogs. I used to be big writer. Way big writer. That sounds great. You go read what I used to write. I swear, it's better articulated than off the top of the head. But off the top of the head has a different is a different medium, and for me it has a different expression of release and alchemy work than writing does. And so I do different topics and content for speech, as I do videos and podcasts for different reasons as well, but I share to get my stuff out. I don't share to be seen. I don't share for an audience. I'm not thinking, who's gonna need this kind of thing? What of my lessons are worthy for others, and how could they shareable? What's the temperature of the room? Let me gauge my views, or see if people respond in a certain way, so I'll go with X, Y, and Z like this, and I'll do more on that. I'm not fishing for anything here. I am sitting on the dock enjoying my day, and come what may, and I'm sharing my feelings and my expressions and my enjoyments of what I see, and trying to find others who enjoy to do it too. And that's pretty much it. And so, this has been a total roundabout topic. It's been a sort of live action alchemy session and working, I guess. exercises of my own, and also some general points of how the systems work, right? And how we can gauge in what kind of laughter I'm using, what tool am I using, which ways are my systems reacting. We have both systems within us, as always. And in fact, they should be doing balancing work, but we shouldn't be letting one get out of balance. And where's your neutrality at? Because I want my neutrality to stay in a harmonious place that feels overall beneficial to my system. My system is a great reflection of all other systems because I am a fractal source of intelligence, infinite intelligence that runs the whole thing. It's all one whole. So what's good for me is overall good for the whole. I would, if it was at the expense of any other, then wouldn't be doing it. But yeah, that again is intentionally based, and only the soul individual can draw the line. Others can try to cast their gaze and say where they think your intentions are, or say where your heart lies, or where you were coming from. But at the end of the day, that's the quiet in the dark that only Creator speaks and sees. That's the record of life, that we're all at the end of the day, at the end of our lives, when the end of times comes for you, which is the end of your day, your end of your particular time, your judgment will come, and everything is and seen and was seen and has been all along. So, why don't we try to meet it with open eyes and an open heart and acceptability and unconditional love for what is? And even if it is mistakes and hard times and there's some ugliness and rough edges, we can work to smooth them. We're still alive. I'm still alive. I'm doing the work here. Not claiming perfection, any beauty or anything like that. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, in fact. That's another thing, and I'm going to really get to the closing here, but it's so difficult about being seen and being a part of the external world, and having others, they look at you and they see one thing, and they think they know and they see, and it's like you don't have a clue of the story, and you judge everything by a cover. And just because a cover is pleasing to someone doesn't mean it's pleasing to others. And somebody sees something that isn't the whole, and then they act like it is the whole because it's their whole that they've seen, and they place it upon and make it what your whole story's about. And it's frustrating, especially when it can even be people who've known you almost your whole life, like people who birthed you, created you, and it's like you don't even know half of the story of who I am or care to. But again, no one can anyways, even if they make an honest attempt, you can never know the fullness of the whole self. Of another. That's the great gift of what our life is. That's what we're here to do. We're here to learn transparency and to work as honestly as we can, but we are holders of free will, and we wield the sword of power of choice. We have the power to direct our movements and gain whatever polarity we want to in this world. Shadows of solidity, of form and figure. It has shape and validity. It's, there's aspects to it. There's corners and angles. There's always going to be shadows. There's always going to be things like that. It's how we choose to meet them, engage them, and what kind of awareness we meet them with. Compassion, right? Or aggravation. Open acceptance of what is to find a harmonious solution through for all, or segregated viewpoint that benefits the closest to you in some kind of direct way, to serve a single system in some kind of specialized way above others. Yeah, there tends to be a want for people to do that, and it tends to be autopilot for lots of people. I'm lucky enough that I have a kind heart, I guess, and an openness in that sense. Mother for 18 years now could be a good help of it. I had a great mentor in my grandmother who was such a wonderful figure of that openness and kindness and compassion that comes with free service and positive alignment. But, yeah, I do see it's kind of a rarity sometimes, and there is a lot of negativity out there, so it's no wonder that there's so many caught in it and want to stay in it and feel like, sometimes I feel like I'm kicking a bee's nest over there, but in fact they kind of feel like when they talk to me they've kicked a bee's nest. It's so funny, the reflections of it. Um, it's interesting in and of itself, the kind of separation, the mirror, but it's like it's a two-way mirror, but when you see through it, it flips it flips things sort of, and it's so interesting. I can't I find it intriguing, yeah, frustrating, but I can't help but, go and contemplate and comb through it and just give great thanks to all the different exposure points I've had recently to help myself make more sense of my own self. And yeah, to find more positive tools and see the laughter in my life, and be able to laugh at it in a positive way, and be able to remember, bring in the positivity, do those things, those deep breaths, move around, go look at something beautiful, remember a happy baby, and give any of these inspirations. That is that sort of shake that the animal world does to release these things, because our layers, we do need move through. We need those alchemic movements to help gear and shift all of those channels that move through. So just sharing my own work, speaking through my own stuff, and if it relates to you, wonderful. Thank you for listening. If you've listened to this whole thing, I really do appreciate your audience and energy. Thanks for doing the good work for yourself. I hope, although you spent quite a long time on the internet, I hope you'll get out in your own world, like I'm going to get out in my own world now, and enjoy the real world. Exchange, try to practice the role of the observer and exchange on all levels, and enjoy my day. Enjoy the now. If in the meantime you're always looking for anything, I have tons of content previously loaded on my old YouTube. I'll put the link in the description or in the comments. If you're finding me on BitChute, then it's all there. It's never been an old channel. It's all the same. But yeah, you can always find me on amariespeaks.com. A plethora of free tips and tools over there on all things introspection, spirituality, and happiness, to help you on your own individual path, to find what feels good, seems good, sounds good to you, and take those references and tools into your own world and on your own path in your own ways. They're there for you for free. There's no retribution or interaction with me necessary to take part in those kind of things. That's my offer out to anyone and everyone who's ever interested on that. That's why my site is there, for the main reasons that I built that site. I've been doing a lot of changes over there recently, switching up services and what I'll be offering, and going to have a few new offerings coming shortly. Things to do with reading and libraries and book clubs and things. So if you're interested in metaphysical books with spirituality in them, books with a backbone or a good meaning, that's what I'm hoping to bring into the mix in the fall, probably near the close of 2025. I know my site, I have it saying that it'd be up within the next month, but I didn't realize the extensive way to load like a library up. It actually holds a lot of mass on the internet, so I might actually do an entire different site away from amariespeaks.com and have it linked to this other site. But I'm looking at different ideas on that right now, and how to host that and what it would contain, to sort of transfer my own Excel library that I keep a reference on all books that I read in an Excel sheet, to move that and house that, as an infinite source of metaphysical knowledge and books to check out for anyone who is, when you find yourself wanting to read a book, you could just look there and you'd know, there are books geared towards that kind of stuff. But anyways, that's some things to come. Thanks for listening, as always, and I will catch you next time. Have a beautiful day or evening wherever you are in the world. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for your contribution to our collective, and thanks for witnessing mine. I will see you next time.